All right, I had to do it. I had to talk about this play because I saw so many people getting it wrong that I just had to make a video out of it. So everyone's up in arms about this play, as they should. The refs kind of fucked it up. But this should have been, if we could go back in time and make the correct call, it would be an incomplete pass. And here's why. We're going to show why. All right, so first of all, from my point of view, Young scrambles. He's falling over. If we are going to give him the benefit of the doubt, which so far it seems to be true that he was never down before he got rid of the ball. If we're going to go with that line of thinking, which as far as I can tell, it looks like he gets rid of the ball before any knee or elbow or back or anything hits the ground. Now his hand hits the ground, but again, his hand doesn't make him down. His elbow has to hit. So if we are going to grant him that when he got spun around by the Texas defender that he did not hit the ground before he let go of the ball, it's an incomplete pass. So first thing I want to do is up here.
Steps up!
First thing we're going to do is a lot of people were saying that there was no receiver in the area or that he wasn't throwing to anybody. If you watch this running back right here, he's going to come out right into the flat, right where Bryce Young scrambles to and tries to throw it.
Young.
All right, right there, this guy right here. I don't know if you guys can see me. I guess I should get a bigger pointer, though. The guy at the top middle of your screen is essentially going to just sit right here. And this is who Young starts to scramble out to and looks at. Look, right here, he sees him. He's scrambling and he's looking at him. You can see if you go back right there when he first goes down.
Steps up.
He even tries right here to make a throw to that player. It's maybe hard to see.
Steps up.
See, you can see right there. He was almost going to throw it right there.
And he's sacked. Steps up.
Right here. See, he tries to make a pass here. And he's trying to make it to this player right here, that same running back that came out. He is clearly trying to throw it to this guy right here. Now, the argument then becomes as we go forward, well, does it have a realistic chance or, was he just throwing it away? Unfortunately, you can't make that call. It's in terms of your opinion, right? He's clearly trying to make a throw to this running back out here in the flat. Now, so far, right, it does not appear that Young is down. And if we go forward, this is where, from this angle, it's hard to tell, right? But he made the first pass attempt, and then he tries to make another pass attempt, which goes off of a UT helmet's, a player from UT. It goes off their helmet, making it a deflection. So therefore, if you want to have intentional grounding, it's negated because it went off of a defender's helmet, as well as he is trying to throw it in the vicinity of a player. If you wanted to go with the argument that it would have made it back to the line of scrimmage, again, we can't really tell in terms of an intentional grounding not making it back to the line of scrimmage. We can't really tell because, again, he throws the ball forward. It goes off of a UT player's helmet. Therefore, it's a deflection. It's an incomplete pass. There is no intentional grounding. There is no safety. He was never down. And the ball goes forward. So it's not a fumble.
It's a safety. That's a safety. Devondre Sweat. Be corralled. Personal foul. Roughing the passer.
You can see there, that was his first pass attempt again to that running back.
With targeting.
Gathers it back. Now, from what I can tell, elbow is not down. And of course, I can't get a good angle here. His elbow is not down, and we'll see later that when he lets it go right here, it goes off of this player's helmet. The ball goes forward, and it goes off of his helmet.
Defense, 15-yard penalty. That's the previous spot, automatic, first down. The previous play is on the
roughing the target, he's not, but the roughing the passer part you cannot review. So even though we
right here,
think it might not.
So his elbow's not down. He throws the ball forward, and I know there's another angle somewhere that shows the ball going forward more clearly.
Review. So even though we think it might not be,
you can still almost see it here.
Review. So even though we.
All right, so right here, the ball essentially, even though you can't see it, the ball is out of his hands and it's going forward. And as much as you want to subjectively say, well, we don't know where he was throwing it, or it was intentional grounding, or he was getting rid of it, I do not think he was getting rid of it. He was trying to throw it in the vicinity of the running back, making it an actual pass. Now, had it not hit this guy's helmet, and perhaps it doesn't make it back to the line of scrimmage, again, we don't know if it would have or not, then you might have an argument. But again, he's throwing it forward towards the area of his running back, and it goes off of a UT player. It's an incomplete pass. I don't really see how it could be anything else. Now, in terms of the refs, right, the refs should not have called a roughing the passer call. That was a bad call. But I'm just saying, in retrospect, if we could go back and make the right call for this play, it would have simply been an incomplete pass.
We think it might not be because he's not even down at that point. That's not going to be reviewable.
Here's the angle.
So they should take off the target.
See, right there. So the ball goes forward. He's not down, as the announcer seems to say, or again, at the beginning of this video, if we're going to give him, from what I could tell, from what everyone said, he was never technically down before he threw the ball. So if we're going with that, if we're going to go with that line of thinking, which seems to hold up, I don't understand how this could be anything but an incomplete pass. As crazy as the play is, as much as Bryce Young has almost no chance of getting out of this situation, whatever you want to say, it doesn't really matter, because all the quarterback has to do is get rid of the ball towards a player or in the vicinity of a player, plus with the additional fact that it gets tipped by a defender. He's trying, it's not, you cannot say if he's making a legitimate throw or not. You unfortunately can't make that call. If he's got his eyes locked on a running back, is looking at them, made one pass attempt, had to corral the ball again to make another attempt, then threw it forward and it goes off of a UT player's helmet. Again, it's an incomplete pass as soon as it hits his helmet. Had that UT player not been there and the ball does not reach the player, and again, the player's like a yard or two past the goal line, so he would have had to almost get it all the way there. For it to be intentional grounding or a safety, it would have to look as if he threw the ball away with no intention of having anyone catch it and it not make it back to the line of scrimmage. We don't know if that would have happened or not, because unfortunately it goes off this player's helmet. I guess what you could then argue is like, okay, well, next time I'm stuck in the back of my own end zone and some guy's running at me, I'm just going to throw it at the defender's feet or something and just say it went off of his, went off of him or something. I guess out of this call, that might be the new rule or the new sort of thing that maybe quarterbacks do to get out of situations that the league's going to have to review or go over, right? Because really what we're talking about here is if the ball makes it back to the line of scrimmage or not. That's really essentially what it would come down to, what people are saying why it should have been a safety. And to those people, like, I don't know, had it not gone off his helmet, maybe you're right. Maybe it doesn't even look good or look close, but unfortunately, as the rules stay now, or as they stand now, everything about this play right up until this point, it hits this defender's helmet, is totally legal and within the bounds of just playing. No rules have been broken yet. Now, depending on where that ball lands, had that guy not been there, we might have a totally different story. But it goes off of his helmet. it becomes a deflection. Like right now, this is a totally legal pass right up until this point. There's no flag you could throw in terms of something the quarterback's done wrong or illegal so far. And as soon as it goes off of that UT player's helmet, and then hits the ground, it's a dead ball. It's just an incomplete pass. Had it not hit his helmet, we might have a totally different story, or the play might look totally different. But going off of just this, that's an incomplete pass. I don't see how it could be anything else. Again, if you want to say, well, he had no chance, I mean, you can't definitively make that call when there's a running back who's only 4 or 5 yards away from him. It's not as if he has to rifle it 50 yards into a small window. He's literally just trying to lob it or get it over to his running back. Now, what might be the thing that comes out of this, like I said, is let's say a quarterback is backed up in his own end zone, or let's say he's even just being pressured. Like he can just clearly see some guy got through the line untouched and he's about to get crushed. Just throw it at the defender or throw it at his legs or something like that. That might be something new that comes up because of this, right? Like, what happens if I'm a quarterback and like, almost like instead of downing it to kill the clock like they do, instead of that, it's almost like I'm throwing it almost the same way, but I'm throwing it at a defender to where I know it'll hit him to make it an incomplete pass or a deflection, but there's no way he could catch it, right? And so, I don't know, because when you're backed up in your end zone and it's closer quarters like it is, and his running back, like in this play right here with Young, his running back's only the 4 yards away. It's not as if he has to make some great throw to get it there. It's probably a little different than if like you're on your own 50 or if you're on you're on midfield and, you're sitting back in the pocket. Like if you throw at the guy coming around the edge who came through untouched, I mean, there's no one in the vicinity. If you were to do that, right? If you were to do this and try to work the rules, there's no one in the vicinity of that defender most of the time when you're like sitting in the pocket at midfield or more in an open field stance. Here, again, really, this is so controversial because we're talking about possibly 2 points. And so it's a little different than if you just got sacked or got a penalty more, somewhere else down the field. And so I don't know, like this is a tough call. Like this is like kind of the crux of the argument is, now this one I think is a totally natural play. Like I don't think Young is trying to just throw it off of again, no one teaches a quarterback to throw it off of a defender, right? That's just not something you do. But in terms of, let's say in a different setting, Young is in, again, his back foot is essentially out of bounds on his own end zone, and he sees someone coming around the edge who's about to light him up. Can he just throw the ball at that defender and call it a deflection if like maybe say his running back's right behind him or something? I don't know. That's an interesting. That's probably what will come out of this is, getting rid of the ball because you're about to be sacked versus an incomplete pass, like an honest incomplete pass. That's the crux of what this play is going to result in. So that's just my 2 cents though. It's an incomplete pass. If we could go back and just simply make the right call, it just would have been an incomplete pass. So that's my 2 cents. I don't really see how you could come to any different conclusion, but a lot of people saying it should have been a safety or intentional grounding. I don't believe so. I don't see how you could make that decision considering you don't know where the ball was going to land. You don't even have anything to call intentional grounding on. Again, it's just a deflection to an incomplete pass. It's unfortunate for Texas, right? It's an unfortunate play in which you have someone dead to rights and this happens, right? I mean, I understand you feel frustrated. You did everything you were supposed to, and then he still somehow got rid of the ball, and in a very tricky situation where he didn't have a lot of outs, but it's still an incomplete pass. Going by the rule book and how things are always called. So that's my 2 cents from the guru. Y'all are welcome for the breakdown later.